This is the Janine Bolon Show.
And welcome for joining us. It is so good to have you guys with us today. As you know, I absolutely love my job. I have been in radio since 1982, and now I get to be on all these different platforms. As you know, we're on 112 different platforms, the Janine Bolon Show, right? And the Janine Bolon Show can be found on 64 different public radio stations. So it's one of those things that you just like get really excited every time I talk to my post-production team. We're getting into a different arena, and it's always funny when I'm digging around in somewhere. And the other day I stumbled across this on Spotify, and I was like, oh yeah, we're on that one too. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, today on the Janine Bolon Show, we're going to be talking about money because, as you know, what do we do here? We save you money, we save you time, we save your sanity, and we save your knowledge. This is what we are all about. Today, we're going to be talking about how you save money and how you save time. And we have Jeannie Dougherty with us. And some of you may have heard it. Go ahead and say the other pronunciation, my dear.
Dougherty.
Dougherty, yeah. So if you hear both those pronunciations, just realize depending upon where you are in Pennsylvania is the correct pronunciation of that. So she is a money expert and a mental fitness guide for professionals. If you want a career change and you don't want to go into debt, you want to give her a shout out. She also helps entrepreneurs that want vital cash infusion. Can you say need cash flow? She's also trained as a mental health and substance abuse counselor. So to say that she might be able to help you with your marriage or your partnership or your business partnership, all of the above. If you have a situation that has money and people involved, you may want to give Jeannie a call. Thank you for being with us, Jeannie.
Thank you for having me, Janine. I'm so excited to be here.
So one of the things that you and I were chatting about before we went live was just the fact that when it comes to money, there is a lot of emotional baggage that is surrounding that. And Jeannie has been in the process of not only building out a financial course for people, but also working with a couple of publishers to be in a collaborative book. So we're looking forward to that coming out at the beginning of the year. But we have her now. So let's chat about talk to us about you dropped this on me right before we went live, and I loved it. Financial gaslighting. Ooh, I think this is a very old term it's a new term around an old problem, but it's been repackaged. Please educate me please on that.
So financial gaslighting, from what I can tell, is it starts to show up in like early dating stages of relationships and sometimes in early partnerships, like people who want to do a joint venture, maybe in a small business or a side hustle. It may be in something more like a marriage where, there's a lot that is really financial gaslighting in the sense that it's like a repeated pattern of somebody going, no, your paycheck is mine and I control the money. So that it does get to extremes. But what I find interesting is that people have different value systems and they have different communication styles. And so a lot of times when somebody, like there was this I saw and I just was like, I don't think the problem is money here. That was my thought. But basically this young woman went on a date with this guy. And when it came time to pay for the bill, he didn't have any cash on him. And she was like, okay, it's no problem. I'll pay for the bill. I don't think that's necessarily financial gaslighting, but what upset her was that, after the date, he wanted to go to a bar. He didn't have his wallet on, so she paid for that. And then he wanted to stay overnight at her place. And, she paid for more things. And, then he promised to, give back and all this Venmo good stuff, even though he had his phone, he immediately ghosted her, all that kind of stuff. So I found it very interesting in the sense that she didn't have enough boundaries to say like, hey, I don't mind getting the meal, but after that, no. Or I'm happy to go to the bar, but no. Or instead of just like, if you got your phone on you, let's do this. Let's do the Venmo. And, that never occurred. And so I just found like that to be very interesting. So that's like a starting point, of like, why are you paying for everything? You don't have to. But I think he was more attractive, in my opinion, the way this setup was sort of put together. And so I don't think she felt she had enough power, or she shouldn't say no. I mean, after all, the man was so good looking, but I don't think he was that good looking. But nevertheless, that's kind of what happened there. But in longer term relationships, it can really start off as, I want to know where you work. I want to know how much you get paid. And those aren't necessarily financial gaslighting questions, but it is like sort of a probing thing. Versus if you've been dating somebody for X amount of months, yeah, you might tell them how much you make. And, they might ask maybe some tax questions if you're maybe, say, living together. But I've met people that have been, with somebody and they literally, it's been like 6 weeks and they're already, they've taken their identity and they've already, got extra credit cards and they're finding out, 3 months after after all of a sudden everything has bounced and they have credit problems with creditors calling them. But when they asked so-and-so about what the situation was, they lied, they denied it, they did everything they could, but now it's a legal matter. How can you prove it? So
Right.
that's another example. But the most common I kind of hear about in terms of this, what I call the gray areas, this weird thing is like, it's a lot of influencers offer exposure. I'm sure you've heard this word many times, Janine, exposure. If you get on my website and do my podcast, you'll get all this exposure. And what I'm going to ask from you is a trade. So I want you to do my website, I don't know, do my social media, pick a situation. And so what some people have done on the internet is they start kind of going down that road of like, okay, I'll give you all this stuff. And then the person doesn't pay them. It's not a fair trade. It's not that at all. So I usually encourage, at least in business, not to do a whole lot of trade. There are maybe times that you may choose to do that, but I don't recommend it. I recommend that people pay for your services and you pay them.
So
It's
that's
called,
just that's just one of the many tips that Jeannie can walk you down. And one of the things that really intrigued me, and I was very grateful that she came on the show, was when she talked about, why she got into this. So I'm just real quick going to give you a synopsis. Why did I get into money? I got into money because I was a college professor and I could see where my students, by the end of the semester, their grades were tanking, and I knew them to be smart. Okay, yes, I know the material got difficult, but this was an uncharacteristic drop in their grades. I started teaching money back in the college days because they didn't know how to finance themselves. They didn't know how to do the money management thing away from home. And they were eating ramen noodles and cup of noodles and other sorts of products that were very inexpensive, but did not help with analytical thinking. And if you're in my class where I'm teaching you calculus or physics, that's going to be a problem in your analytical reasoning skills if you're not getting it. I even had a kid that got scurvy because they had not had enough vitamin C. So these were the things that were happening to me. This is why I got involved. But I love Jeannie's story. So Jeannie, talk to us about why you got involved, because it's for similar reasons. It's trying to help people.
yes. So for a long time, I never had heard of a money coach. People would present in counseling for, relationship issues, and, money's often number one or number two that shows up. If it's not the kids, if it's not the sex life, money's right up on the table. So there were always like interesting dynamics. And so I would go to, my mentors and kind of ask questions. And secret, a lot of people in helping professions are broke and don't have good money values and skills and savings, etc. So I'll just put that out there. So I wasn't going to the right people. So I ended up sort of immersing myself in just basic financial education, anything I could kind of find, a good book, a good course, a good seminar. And I was just learning as I went because I just assumed this was part of my job. And I never really thought anything else about it. So this happened for about 10 years. And then my mother finally, she got very sick with Alzheimer's and she passed away. And after that is when we found out that her estate had been financially exploited. And it was by a family member, another one. And so we went to litigation to find out there was nothing we could do. And that took about 2 or 3 years. And it was very painful, very expensive. And there was a lot of lying. And unfortunately, because she had Alzheimer's, this person would lie to my mother. And so she would cover for this person, this family member. And we didn't know. But when things got worse with her health, we would ask more questions and we were told, no, 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 nothing's happening. And then we would ask for proof because we were all like, are you sure? And all of a sudden there was no money. So basically this person liquidated my mother's estate, and she was left destitute and very little care. And there wasn't much else we could do at the very end. So that really put me through a period of my life of, I don't know if I can trust people. Like it was just a very painful grieving process for myself. So what I did, in addition to my own therapy, is I took a lot of dance classes. It helped with my self-esteem, but it also helped me blow off a lot of my own steam. And I felt better afterwards. And one day I walked in and there on the wall was a flyer for Dance and Money. So obviously, Janine, that makes total sense, right, to everybody, but that's what it was. And it was for 4 days and it was 2.5 hours away. And I said, I think I'm going to go. And so I went and I absolutely loved it. And I did a year of professional development. And it was when I finally went to money coaching school, because there is a money coaching school for emotional and behavioral issues when it comes to money. And voila, I realized I had been doing money coaching for over 10 years in my private practice, but we didn't call it that. We just called it therapy because we didn't know any different. So here I am, and it's years later, and I'm a money coach, but I work with certain kinds of folks, people who really want to get ahead, got a dream, but need a better plan. And so I work with them on how to rewire their money brain. That's my favorite phrase to say. Rewire your money brain.
That sounds fabulous. Thanks for sharing the why, because you and I were talking about this. Here I was a college professor. Yeah, I was very good at calculus and very good. And I had come up with the 60-40 principle, which was a system that I taught my family. It wasn't
Right.
something that ever was going to leave my family as far as I was concerned. So to end up writing a book about it was, I still laugh. I still laugh at that one. It's still funny to
Yeah.
me. But the thing that was interesting is as I was doing all the coaching, as I was talking to people about how you go about working with the money, how do you go about doing the 60-40 principle and all that, I kept having to hire people like you. Like I'd say, I need you in my contact list because I had 5 therapists on standby because, like
Wow.
you said, this is where the challenge is. When you start working with money and you have other people other than yourself involved, there are emotions that start being triggered real bad. And I would tell them, I'd ask the therapist, I'd said, tell me what you can about money so that I know how to refer them to you better, because all 5 had different areas of therapy that
Mm-hmm,
they were
mm-hmm.
specializing in. And the thing was, they said, they will talk all day long about their sex life long before they'll talk about money. And I said, well, why is that? And they said, well, that's because that's where the shame is. There's a
Yeah.
lot of shame when it comes to money. And I was
Right.
like, wow, because you and I, we talk about money all the time. There's no shame to me. This is what needs to be talked about right here. But I just would love your comments on what are the areas that you have found that are like the top 2 or 3 areas where people struggle the most.
Well, it's what I find that the thing that people struggle most with is financial decision making. So, and then being able to do what I call the forecasting, figuring out where you want to go with your money. So, because there is sort of the two schools of thought: give it to somebody like a financial advisor, and let's hope they're not Bernie Madoff inspired, or or you do it on your own. And so everyone's got opinions all over the joint on that. So I said, financial decision making and financial forecasting. But then the other piece is, do you understand what's driving your, if you will, your money brain, or what's driving your car down the road, so you don't keep hitting the same potholes every day about your money? Because that's what people do. They will subconsciously, although the behavior will still be there, they'll do the exact same thing. They'll go down into this pothole every day and they get stuck there. And then they wonder why it's not any different. It's not any better.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I like to share with people is don't have a budget. I mean, you have a budget, you know the things that you have to do, but it's when you're talking about forecasting. What do you want to do with your money? Where do you want to go? What kind of lifestyle do you eventually want for yourself? And I don't care if you are working for only $16 an hour.
Right.
There are ways that you can forecast that. And one of the challenges, are you spending money in alignment with where you want
Mm-hmm.
to go? And
Right.
that is where we really get to see the change, because I'm sure you talk about how the pain of where they are and the pain of what they want to eventually become with has to equate before they'll make that change. So one of the things I recommend is tracking expenses. That keeps you out of that you were bad and you spent over budget kind of mentality. And if you track your expenses, then it's already happened. You already made the decision. but is this in alignment with where you're wanting to go? So talk to us about that financial forecasting and how tracking expenses helps you rewire, like you said, rewire that money brain that you talk about so well.
Yeah, so I'm in the same kind of boat with you, and that is the first thing I ask is for people to track their money for at least 30 days. If they need more time, 90 days is great. And the easy thing to do is go back to your statements. You don't even have to like, "Ugh, what did I spend money on?" That right there, number one, is a reflection of your values, your financial values, what you are valuing. So if you value going out to eat, if you value having a lot of gas in your car, if you value a lot of fast food, if you value shopping online, like all of that will be there. So then the next question, like you said, like you don't want to have to be super tight with your budget. But then it's like, where do you want to go with your money? So number one, most people just want to get out of debt. That's all they really want. The problem is that they'll get out of debt and go back into the debt because you didn't rewire the money brain, meaning you didn't make the changes that you needed to make so that you can what? Do something different. Like you just said, alignment. You have to be in alignment with those values. Like, hey, I'm going to save 10% more this year. My God, that's a fantastic goal. How are you going to do that? Well, I think for the first 3 months of January, it's really tight. I'm going to maybe take it easy, but by April, when I get my tax refund, I'm going to do something different. It's like, well, there you go. But now you've got to like really make sure you do more with that. And I think that's where people are like, oh, this is like a lifelong thing, not something I have to do for 6 months. And it's like, yep. Yes,
I
it is.
think that was one of the hardest things back in the early 2000s was trying to educate people on this really is a lifestyle. And then all these wonderful Netflix documentaries came through. I love the minimalism and
Yeah,
preppers and all that kind of stuff because they showed the extreme. That's what I love. They show you the extreme and it's
exactly.
like you don't have to be extreme. So talk to us give us like your top 3 tips that you recommend to people that are easy to do kind of items.
In terms of saving money or spending or what is it exactly?
Well,
Because
you do
there's
that rewiring of the mindset thing. So what are some,
ah
yeah, what are some easy, like, because, this is the thing I love about Atomic Habits. You and I have read books like that long
yes,
before Atomic Habits, but I don't care. It's been repackaged, it's renewed, it's in a new generation's voice. And that's why I love these books that, the concepts have been around for a very, very long time, but they're being rediscovered by a new generation. So I know
exactly.
you are the next generation of money coach. So talk to us in the language that you use. How would you use those small habits that will help people rewire their brain?
So first and foremost, what I like to do is ask a very simple question. Who is speaking right now? So when I use that phrasing from a rewire perspective, people can hop on my website if they want and take a free money type quiz. But there are certain money archetypes that will spend, certain money archetypes that will save, and then there are some money archetypes that will literally gamble. So, oh, I know money will show up and I'm going to go do this. Okay. So, first of all, number one, who is speaking? So, if you know that, then you know what is driving in this moment. You may not know everything else, but you've got a place there. The next thing that I really encourage is, what are you feeling? Like, are you feeling excited? Are you feeling like terrified? Are you just trying to like get through this numb period in your life? What is it that you're feeling? Because what I will tell you is all negative thoughts and feelings have to be rewired. And we have a million of them, especially when it comes to money. Because, well, there's another money decision you got to make because your life is based on financial decisions all the time. And then the third thing I would say, after like maybe you know who's speaking, maybe you know what you're feeling is what are your choices? So you may really want something right now, but do you need it or do you want it? And again, I'm not here to play judge that you can't have anything you want because that often pushes people's money brains into a place of I'm being tired of being told no, I'm going to get what I want. So then they spend it and then they don't have any money left for what? The bills or for something else. So that's what I try to encourage in that, not necessarily in that order, but in that sort of general realm.
Mm. And so when people find themselves, they're at the grocery store, and I love using grocery stores because trillions of dollars have gone into how to set up a grocery store to relieve you of the cash or to relieve you of the money that is in your bank account.
Right.
And it's totally designed from the end caps all the way to how you have to find things that are not next to each other on the shelves, to they split the bread up and put it next to the, soda aisle. All that kind of stuff has
Yeah.
been researched thoroughly to get you to move about the store in a very specific way. So knowing that, how do you help people with that rewiring for those impulse buys? Because that's usually where people get hung up, especially if they're in a high emotional state, a
True.
high negative, what I call a negative emotional state.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, some people like to have the budget, kind of the concept of I only have, say, $200 for my current groceries. And that may be a lot of money for you, or may not be a lot, depending on the size of your family. But if that's all you have, and you're like, I love this twisty thing because this is going to help me and I don't have to do it, and it's $3.99 and we have plenty of room, then yeah, that's probably a decent money purchase because it's only one. But if you buy 5 of them, are you planning on giving them as gifts? Or is it, no, I just, it's like people have, like, I went to the dollar store. Remember those days? I went to the dollar store and I bought 5 pairs of glasses, and you're like, why? Well, I have one in every room. And yet where are all the glasses on top of their head? So I mean, it's like that's a money thought of, like, it's fine that you have 5 pairs of glasses, but if you're that forgetful of where your glasses are, which are on top of your head, maybe you need to see the doctor. Because that's a lot of glasses that you keep losing on the top of your head.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up this time, is there anything else that you'd care to share with us before we guide our listeners to your survey, to your quiz?
Yeah. So what I would say is that money is constantly moving around on this planet, meaning people are making money and they are, selling and spending money all around the world. I'm not talking about markets. I'm just talking about people, individuals. So if you've had a year that hasn't been great, that doesn't mean next year's going to be as bad. You can turn your money around and you can rewire your money brain literally in a matter of weeks so that you can have a better financial life.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. Now, where can people go find out that archetype of who's speaking?
It is the globalmoneycoach.com website, and it's like right there. You'll be like, oh, there's the money quiz right on the homepage. Click.
Okay.
And you get to take it.
All right. And after you take the quiz, definitely look up her coaching. I'm sorry, not her coaching program, her money program. If you want to kind of figure out if Jeannie is somebody you want to work with, it's so easy to take some of these do-it-yourself courses and stuff and get into that. Also, you may want to join us on Alignable because Jeannie is offered to definitely come to our networking event. So if I get enough people that say, yeah, I want more of what this woman has to offer, definitely join us on our Alignable group, and we'll definitely help you out with that. So thank you so much, Jeannie. It's been wonderful chatting with you today.
Thank you, Janine, for having me. I so appreciated it.
And we will be talking again in January when Jeannie's book comes out, and she's been working very hard on, and it's with a collaborative group. So you'll get all kinds of voices in that. So make sure you tune in again. And don't worry, next episode, we're going to be talking about those time-saving tips as well as more money tips for you. So stick around and we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you for joining us on the Janine Bolon Show.